think we could be live. I think we could be live.
Always the challenge.
This is my awkward, I think we could be live dance. And I stopped doing it because I got a handle on it, and now Zoom's changed anything. Anyway, for anyone who's joining us, this is Conversations with Ladies Who Launch. And today I have the magnificent Jo Bendle. Jo Bendle is a productivity queen, business coach, and she runs the Meant for More movement. Thank you so much for joining me, Jo.
Thank you. I'm excited to have this conversation and see what juiciness we cover.
See what we come up with.
Yeah.
Okay, so my first question is, I would love for you to introduce yourself the way you would love one of your ideal clients to introduce you. What would you love for them to say about you?
Oh, that is a good question. Well, what would I love them to say about me? So I basically say that I help women in business to get focus, clarity, and kind of motivation to step up in life and business. So I think I would just love them to be like, this is the woman that's going to help you like go further than you imagined, like really achieve your biggest, boldest dreams. Like she helps you see that anything is possible, and then gives you all the support and the tools to get you there.
Amazing, super cool. And so can you tell me a little bit about your first launch, if you remember it, and how did it go?
Well, yeah, actually I was thinking about I'm literally just in the process of writing out I've been doing this video series about truth bombs from 9 years in business. So on the 1st of June, my business became 9 years old. And so I've done this whole series for my audience to take them on this journey. So I have just literally gone through all the process of what I did each year to like get to where I've got to. And the first time I did a proper launch, which was obviously not proper, was in 2015. So 2015, I did my first ever 5-day productivity challenge, and I can remember it because back in the day, I did not know how to edit videos. I didn't have a team. I was like, it was literally imperfectly me holding my phone, standing in front of the window so that there was the right light, holding my phone and recording like these 5-day videos. Oh, hilarious. And then also that year, I did my first ever webinar, which I reckon no one hasn't got a first webinar story. And mine was that, oh my gosh, like I can still really remember it. It took me at least 6 minutes, which is a long time when you're live, to work out where the chat box was to find out if anyone could see or hear me. So I can very clearly remember, I'm like, I don't know if you can see me or hear me. I can't find the chat box. 6 minutes in, I'm like, oh my God, I don't know, what should I do? Should I carry on? Because it was my first one. And then I had a friend that was obviously on live, sent me a message on my phone. We can see you. We can hear you. Keep going. And so that was my very first webinar. And I sold my first ever group coaching program. So up until then, I was doing one-on-one coaching. And I sold a group coaching program and had 10 people join. And that was oh my gosh, like I'm doing group coaching. And so I think the message there is, which is always my mantra, imperfect action is absolutely fine. Like I was imperfect on that webinar, but I was very, very real and, just like Jo, and it didn't break anything. Nothing bad happened. People still joined me. And so fond memories of like this, being uncomfortable, getting, massively imperfect, doing it anyway, and it being good enough,
Oh, I love that so much. And it's so funny because I put together these like interview questions, and everyone's always like, well, I don't think I called it a launch at the time. And I think that's kind of what I want to show people is that like, just start launching, just start owning the thing, because it's going to develop and evolve over time.
Oh, for sure. And I reckon that we can almost, like, obviously in the industry we call it a launch, and then that feels way too daunting for some people. So I'm like, give it a different name then. Like, it could be a marketing campaign, it can be anything. If that feels way too overwhelming, it ultimately is us being like, hey, I'm talking about this thing I'm passionate about and I'm inviting you for the next step. We got to give it a different, sometimes we might need to give it a different a different energy, you know.
Mine was actually called a mini launch, now that you say that. And then after
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it wasn't that mini.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it's just, I've been threatened. I remember every month I set on my goals that year, I'm going to do a webinar, and it took me about 5 months to be able to pluck up the courage. And in the end, I actually had to put the link out, the sign up page, send it to my email list, and be like, I'm doing a webinar. Then people signed up, so I was like, I've got to do it now. So this, just a little top tip there, which is I've used again and again, is like, if I'm procrastinating on something, public accountability is going to get you to do it.
Set a date, and then even if you've only got that one sign up, you're doing bloody things, so you might as well
because that's the whole point, isn't it? Like, the only way we're ever going to learn, evolve, find out what works for us, what feels good, etc., or what works for our clients, is to do it. And like, to, you know, like, this is why I'm always like, embrace the experiment, because that's how you find out what worked and didn't work to make it better the next time. And no one's first ever launch is, to be fair, I've been launching since 2015, and I still am like, okay, you know, it's still not always smooth.
Well, that brings me to my next question. What does launching look like for you now?
Well, I mean, so in that time, I have probably tried all of the different versions of launch, you know, done challenges, done webinars, done the video series, tried all lots of different things. Some like really massively planned out and really done all the ads and brought in the testimonial, all of that stuff. And then the ones that are just super simple, it's a webinar and now I am, you know, in it. Because I've tried lots of different ways of doing it, I'm very much now intentional about what energizes me. Like, what do I feel? What do I love? What do I enjoy? Because obviously, if I'm in the right vibration, then that's going to bring other people along. So last year, I actually had my program, The Lab, which is called a lab because it's like lessons, embrace the experiment, guys. And I committed to myself for 12 months at the start of the year, like, right, your job, and you're not allowed to go off on a tangent, because obviously we've got all these ideas, is to learn how to best launch the lab. And so every 90 days, I did what I called a coaching experience. And it was like a whole week in there coaching and doing all these great exercises and taking whoever, you know, had signed up to on this, you know, really in-depth journey, not being in the place where I'm like, oh, I mustn't tell them the how and not the what, or whatever it is, you know, not the what and not the how. It's just like, these are the steps that I've taken to keep growing and growing. If you know, we're going to do this together. If you want to continue the journey, come and join us for the next step in the lab. And so I did the same thing every 90 days. I tweaked it, obviously, and depending on what was going on and what people needed. But the point was, I created a system for myself. So now, like, when I launch, it's like there's a Asana project, I duplicate it, then change it for whatever I'm doing. And people would come, because I became reliable, people would come and sign up for them, got lots from it. Or sometimes it would be, I haven't done anything since the last one we came to. I need to get in the course now and join you and get some, like, actually do it. And so becoming quite reliable. Yeah. And then again, like this year, I was like, okay, my goal is to continue doing that. And like the first time I should have done that would have been March. And from January onwards, like, let's just acknowledge that things aren't normal at the moment, and we are energetically feeling different. And from January onwards, there wasn't a bone in my body that wanted to do that. And so I didn't. And I'm like, okay. And so really launching for me looks like really stopping and looking at, what do I have the energy for? What feels good for me? Because I know if I do something that feels fun and exciting, then I will get behind it, and it will be a way better experience, or it'll be way more successful. Because there are times that if you try and launch something but you're doing it because you should, of course you don't get the results.
Yeah.
So I think it's just that experience of, like, you've got to feel
listening
excited
to yourself, but also keeping yourself accountable. Like,
yeah, knowing, that's the thing, is like knowing, why am I avoiding this? What is this? Is this like playing small? Because also I'd got to the place where, oh, you know, I've created a business model, the reoccurring, all that stuff. Like, I'd had a really, really good year last year. Oh, am I now getting in my own way because I'm not keep growing? And so being able to be so much more aware. And again, I think this journey creates or teaches us to just get so much more aware, doesn't it? So yeah, and then sometimes it's okay to be like, I don't have the energy, or I don't feel like it, and doing something different. So like that this month I'm doing something completely different, but because that's how my mind works. Sometimes if I've got to do the same thing again and again, I'm like, well, I'm not excited by it. So this month I'm hosting like a retreat, because I want to take everybody, like an online retreat, because I want to take my people on a journey of what Meant for More is all about, and really what it stands for, and calling them forwards, because this is where Meant for More is basically just got trademarked. And so now it's like, okay, let's get out there and celebrate and educate and take them on the journey. Because I think most of us on this journey have got a feeling inside of us that, yeah, we're meant for more. And
Yeah.
are we even allowed to talk about that? Because hey, life's all right at the moment. Is it all right to say I want more, and having that conversation?
And you've totally already touched on this, but can you think of a specific time in your launch experience where it felt really easy?
Where it felt really easy is, I mean, I'm going to be honest, I don't know as any launch feels easy.
Yeah.
Because it depends where you are in your business, doesn't it? Because a lot of the time we're launching because we actually need to bring in income. So there is a pressure. So for me, it's around being able to be intentional, but also detached from this like, I've got to get this many people, and be like, look, I'm really passionate about calling women forward to get them to really step up, right? And so for me now, it is about like, hey, let's go, let's all have this conversation and get you activated and energized and motivated about what's possible. So almost coming from that place of service, right? Yeah. Even if they're not going to come on and join the program right now, it's like, I know that if you're activated, good things are going to come for you, and that is what I really, really care about. So the ones that are easy, well, look, it depends. I can set myself up for success by, when I was doing my 90-day, every 90 days, I knew exactly when it was happening, so I could have plenty of space to prepare. A lot of it could have been rinse and repeat, using a lot of things I'd used before. But I'm really, really clear now that I have to have systems in place for not just like actually the stuff that's got to be done, but my own self-care as well. But I think the answer to the question is, it's not necessarily easy.
Yes. Yeah. And it's more like those moments of easy, and what did they look like? And
I think that's just like following your own gut of like, this feels good, I'm excited to set, it feels fun, and also simple. Like the simplest of launches can also be the most successful. We don't have to have all the bells and whistles. Like I can add in, like I have done launches where I have really added in all of the things, and the ones that are just really super simple, I show up, I teach, and I invite, and they're the easy ones, because I'm, it's all about alignment. If you're so aligned to what you're sharing and also what you're offering is the next step, things are so much easier.
Yeah, beautiful. And can you think about a specific challenge that you had during launching and how you overcame it? I mean, I
think I mean, there's a couple of different things there. One is that the main challenge that I have, and I still have, but I'm just so aware of it, I expect it, so I've got tools in place, is that there will be a part in the launch. There's normally between you've opened up enrollment and you're going to close enrollment, and in the middle of that there is a place where it's normally quite quiet, because there's, you might have a fast action bonus at the start, and they've got a reason to sign up because doors are going to close. So there's a bit in the middle, those bits are where the activity is. This bit in the middle can be quite quiet, and that is when all the mindset stuff comes up. So you doubt because you're not getting sales like constantly flowing in, because people don't have that necessary urgency that day. So I think that every time I launch, but because I'm aware of it now, I'm like, oh, this is the part of the launch that's always quieter. So I always make sure that I'm out doing my walks, doing my mindset, eating well. Like now, like eating and moving is part of my launch plan, because that bit is like just remembering there's going to be doubts. I am definitely going to have doubts. It's normal. My job is to be really staying in this beautiful vibration of, I trust that the right people are coming. And then the other side of it with challenges is I think, again, if you fall out of alignment, you're following a roadmap that isn't necessarily feeling, like you're trying to box yourself into what someone else's process. And so I can remember it is 3 years ago, I think, and I had my membership, and I was doing a launch, but I was in a membership program, and so I was following a process, and that was the time when I did all of the, I did all of the parts that you can do.
Yeah.
But everyone in the program was setting goals like, I'm going to get, or were having 200 more new members have joined, 200 more members have joined. So of course I set myself a massive goal, thinking, oh yeah, okay. And I really showed up for that launch. I'm proud of everything, but I got 29 new members in my membership at the time. And of course I was thinking, oh, what a failure. But the point is, I was just unrealistic. I didn't have a big enough email list to be able to have the same goals as some of these people, or maybe they had affiliate stuff going on. It was unrealistic to think that I could. In reality, 29 people joined my membership. I think I had about 100 people at the time. Was a really, really great, successful launch. So that was the time, and I now talk about this a lot with my clients, is I implemented a new mantra for I always reward my efforts, not my results. So I knew at the end of that launch that I could 100% reward myself for how I'd shown up, because I'd shown up with all of it, and I was really proud of that. If I was going to reward if I was really going to just say, oh, but you didn't get the 100 people or whatever it is you wanted, but that wasn't a realistic goal. So then now I still do it. I always reward my efforts, not my results, because that's the only thing I can control, is how much I show up for it. So that is also a big lesson of just be careful. Yes, definitely get inspired by what's possible, but then be realistic around, hey, I have a smaller audience, or I'm not using affiliates, etc. Set yourself up for success in that way.
Absolutely. And I love your movement Meant for More, and it's that whole sense of bettering yourself and your own progress and your own results, as opposed to comparing yourself to other people as well.
This is that thing, isn't it?
Yeah, way more.
You can only compare. You should only be comparing yourself to you, the you of yesterday or the you of a month ago. That's the only true comparison. We've all fallen into this trap, because the online world is like this, and that's why I say, look, use it to inspire you, but only compare yourself to you, because my version of success is going to be different to someone else's. So if I see, I might see something, it's it doesn't matter, you don't know stay focused on what's important to you. And that's again we need to keep coming back to. Totally. But what about
and it's not only those 200 people that the other people got, not only who was on their mailing list, but what the hell were they selling? There's so many questions.
And also they've probably got a much bigger marketing budget. It's just all of that stuff. And so it was a great lesson for me, because I wanted to really give myself some beating up, and then it's oh, right. But you showed up intentionally for that whole of that launch. I gave it my all, and I got 29 new members. At the time, that was amazing. It's just wow.
Oh, cool. So, off the top of your head, what do you reckon your best supports for launching are? What are the things that you've talked a little bit about self-care, but they're team support? What
definitely don't do it on your own. I have done very financially successful launches without much of a team, or just having a VA, or even doing it on my own, and it isn't worth it. It's too stressful, it's exhausting. So definitely have support, whatever that looks like for you. Have support. That's really important. Again, I say I've done way too many launches that I'm doing too much myself, and it's just so, because I think also that self-care is important. I need to have a lot of space, especially when I was doing the coaching experiences. I'm showing up and giving a lot of energy. I've got to have so much. I don't need to be writing daily emails in that time. So I think it is about giving yourself as much runway as you can, so that you've got space, so that you can say, right, for this 2 weeks, the only thing I've got to do is show up live for the live stuff and look after me. So it is like knowing I'm going to have good food, moving my body, getting out, doing the mindset work, doing the journaling, whatever, to keep myself in that right vibration, but having set myself up so that it's not, you know, I'm going to, there are still some times when we're like, oh, I've got to on the fly get all this done. But so if you can create a bit of space in that time so that you don't, the stress is knowing that you've got to write tomorrow's email and show up live and do this and go live here. And so creating some space because you've created a plan. Also for me is having a replicable system that I can just repeat or tweak or, evolve. So I'm like, I'll go into Asana, I'll duplicate my template for launching. And then I'm like, okay, for this particular launch, what comes, what goes, and I can feel calmer knowing that there's a plan. I just keep showing up and working towards that plan and knowing that this week I need to have as much space as possible.
Beautiful. And I just love the word space. Like, how good does it feel when you're doing a launch or whatever it is that you're doing in your business, when you just feel like you've got a bit of space?
Oh my God, but you show up completely differently when you're not stressed out. Yeah, it's really important, isn't it? And like trying to find the fun, but I would still say, like, if you're going to do like a review at the end of your launch, make sure that you reread it before you do your next one, because that's when it reminds me, oh, this is the time when my mindset is struggling because it's quiet. Maybe you want to do an extra bonus, or maybe you want to throw in, and it reminds you, maybe do a payment plan now, like, so just because this is the bit where you feel a little bit so rereading your reviews just before you start planning your next one to remind you, hey, it's normal. This is the part where you do normally feel a little bit like, oh my God, no one's going to buy,
Yeah. So what extra supports can you bring in during time? I love that so much. Cool. And so I would love to know, is there anyone that you follow that you would love for me to interview about their launching? Because I'm running around the internet hitting people.
Oh yeah, that's a good question, isn't it?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a funny. I'm going to be completely honest with you. Like, I've got my head down. I don't really follow a lot of. I'm not watching other people so much now. I think there's a certain stage in your business where you've got to switch off and go, like, I know what I'm doing, what works best for me. So if someone pops into my head, I would definitely let you know. But at the moment, I'm not actively looking at what others are doing, and thinking, like, aware of it. So
that's a good, it's kind of a tip in itself, right? Like, you're in your own lane.
Yeah. I've really had to, because otherwise it is a triggering old journey out there. So you know what you're doing, stay focused on that, stay focused on what matters to you. It's a better idea. And of course that has to be so intentional, like you have to decide that,
Yeah. Amazing. And so I would love to know of any freebies or paid things that you're in launch of or promoting at the moment. Tell us all.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Well, I always say the best place to start is, like, everyone I meet is like either not got the focus, hasn't got time. There's always like something around the productivity side. And so the best place I always say is start with my productivity guide. It's a 5-step process that will give you the clarity you need, that focus, and also some really just simple habits that you can use on repeat to, like, take back control of your week. So that is jobendle.com/5 steps. That's the best place to start, because I think that when we've all got that feeling like, I know I'm meant for more, but I haven't got the space or the time or the energy to be able to even know what it is. It's like, right, let's create some space, and then we can get clear about, hey, what's my next vision, or what am I working towards? And then, next week I'm hosting this retreat, which is actually Australia time zone friendly. So that is basically, a commitment of like 2 to 3 hours where we come together and we're going to go through the Meant for More framework and really just do some deep work to celebrate, like, exactly that. We are women who want to claim our more. So that is jobendle.com/retreat if you want to have a look at that. Yeah.
Amazing. I will go ahead and add those links for anyone who's watching, so that they can come and check you out. Thank you so much for your time. My beautiful Jo, it's been so lovely to chat with you and hear all about your launching experience. And it's like, I feel like it's just pulling back the curtain on what is launching. Doesn't need to be this big scary thing.
No.
And
And also keeping it real, isn't it? It's just like, you know, even someone that's been launching for quite a few years has tried, it's still a process. It's still okay, I got to do the inner work to be able to pull this off, and that's totally normal. And remembering, simple is enough. Start small, start simple. You can add on bits each launch. But thank you for having me. Always happy to talk about stuff like this.
Yeah, and it's been awesome to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. So good.
All right, bye-bye.